we're going to break this down a little bit and some of the lies that Tucker Carlson stated about this. This guy at Jewish Warrior 13, great follow on X. He said, amazing. I was born in Israel, and in 12 years of school in Israel, I never heard about this fact. We'll watch the video about the fact. So I called my family and asked them, and they were laughing. Tucker Carlson said this: Israeli schools don't use the plus sign in math because it resembles a cross. Christians in the U.S. should know what they're funding. This is not verifiable information. We'll talk about what is actually true and what's not true in a second, but let's hear it from Tucker Carlson.
How could this happen? How could this happen? Well, because for some Israelis, a significant number of Israelis, Christian iconography is considered deeply offensive. In fact, the most offensive. So offensive that in some Israeli religious schools, the plus sign is not used in math. The plus sign, that connotes addition. Why? Because it looks like a cross. And that's considered too offensive for the eyes of school children, and so an inverted T is used. That's a fact. You can look it up. There's only one other instance we've seen of this in the world, and that's in ISIS-run madrasas, where the cross was also considered offensive. This is not true in any normal Muslim country. They use plus signs, but not in Israeli religious schools. So everybody is allowed.
I mean, he's just trying to demonize and delegitimize and destroy the credibility of Israel as a horrible, horrible nation. And at the same time, he's trying to glaze over Islam and Muslims and make them out to be these perfect saints, and that Israelis and Jews are horrible, horrible humans. But then he's going to say he's claiming he doesn't hate Jews. He's just doing it because this is the right thing to do out of his Christian moral values. And he's a fucking retard.
Allowed to have their own religious views and to find other people's symbols repugnant. But it might be useful for Christians in the United States to know what they are funding and making excuses for. But of course, they don't know this because this information somehow hasn't reached them. And if they're watching CBN, they're told, don't pay attention, you must be liberal if you're drawing conclusions.
Well, you're somewhat lying as well, my boy. And we'll get to exactly how you're lying and the words you're using to lie. So let's go back into, there's the same video that we just saw, but more clear what U.S. journalist Tucker Carlson said. Israeli schools don't use the plus sign in math because it resembles a cross. Christians in the U.S. should know what they are funding. And so, again, this guy went to his school in Israel for 12 years, said it's untrue. Okay. And then we go to, this is absolutely absurd and not true. Is that what bothers him? Not the slaughter of Christians in Africa, not the churches that burned down in Europe, the USA, and Canada. This man is clearly mentally ill. Yeah, he's very focused on this plus sign thing rather than actual Christians who are getting slaughtered, because he doesn't care about actual Christians. He really just cares about demonizing and delegitimizing and creating a double standard for Israel and the Jews. Because you can see, this video was posted on August 16th. We're live here today on August 18th. So a few days ago. And so in Pakistan, Muslim terrorists attacked and burned 27 churches and 400 Christian houses over false blasphemy charges. But Pope Leo can't speak on Pakistan and Nigerian Christians. Even BBC, Al Jazeera, and TNT World are busy somewhere else. And so is Tucker Carlson, so is Candace Owens, but they can find time to talk about this plus sign gimmick thing that Tucker Carlson is trying to create division even more in the United States between Christians and Jews, which hopefully doesn't happen. And it just, it's really, really, really sad. It's really, really, really sad. And so here's the real story from Honest Reporting. This is the fact. The real story. Some ultra-Orthodox schools use a variant symbol, a centuries-old practice. So yeah, there we go. You have the truth. Some ultra-Orthodox schools use a variant symbol, a centuries-old practice tied to crusade, pogrom trauma, not government policy, and not most schools. What doesn't add up, why Tucker Carlson is trying to foment hatred of Jews and the Jewish state by falsely painting them as anti Christian. This guy said the real story is that a vicious anti-Semite spreading anti-Jewish blood libels and fermenting Jewish hatred is close buddies with Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance, who wants to be the next president. Yeah, all these things are fact. So that's important from honest reporting. It's a good account to follow. And then this guy said, Michael Newman, this is funny, that's some weak soy right propaganda. I'm a Christian living in Israel. I'm a Christian living in Israel, and I have 3 kids in public schools. All of them have the plus sign in their school books and assignments. Read this one more time. I'm a Christian living in Israel, and I have 3 kids in public school. All of them have the plus sign in their school books and assignments. Again, we saw that some ultra-Orthodox schools use a variant symbol, but not because it's an anti-Christian sentiment. So there's the facts of the matter. Unlike what Tucker Carlson was trying to spew, where he takes one little minute fact and then strings it all together to create this big theory that all of this is happening when in reality it's not, because he doesn't want to give people the truth or real information. He wants to create divisive hatred between people for his whatever agenda he has. I'm not sure what's underlying his agenda, but that's what his agenda is. And it's quite gross. So there's that.